Well, buddy, you asked us to do it. I didn't think it would be this quick, but you get what you get. So, you wanted us to hold you accountable to positivity. And I still have 9 minutes left to watch in your video, but I started running out of time this morning. I get to wake up, let's see, 15 minutes before my alarm goes off, which is ended up being 4:45. I take my blood pressure medicine before I drink any coffee. I measure my blood pressure, move around a little bit, get my heart pumping, which in a way pisses me off because, by the way, this video is going to be negative, so you might want to click off now. It pisses me off because as much as Great White Stoke has his diatribe about, oh, we need to see the world's strongest lamb dog. And yeah, you do sound like that, Spence. Oh, I'm gonna chop some wood. There's snow crunching under my feet. But, you know, you were right about me needing to get stronger and healthier. But it's just a coincidence. Like see a person in their late damn 40s and be like, you probably need to eat better. I will say though, they do things when you get older, like measure your testosterone and everything, and they measured mine, and there's like this nominal scale of say like 300 to 1,000, and they measured mine, and mine's fine, but I was like, my wife, I've never mentioned it, but my wife's a doctor, and I was like, babe, why can't I have 1,000? She's like, no, the world doesn't get to have you at 1,000. She's like, why do you think you shouldn't? And I'm like, oh, increased risk of prostate issues, heart issues. I have chronic tendonitis that would be affected by the increase in muscle growth. Give her this rundown of shit I already know. But thankfully, my previous lifestyle hasn't had the effect that it's had on other people. As far as like when you do things that add testosterone, it reduces your body's ability to create its own. So I was always as cautious as I could be with it. Like I'd push a lot of protein and ridiculous amount of creatine and things like that. But where was I going with all this? Oh, Colin Schaaf out. If you're still watching this video, right then and there, being sedentary when you're needing to be motivated just to have a change of pace, I believe is incorrect. Now you are educated in these things, so maybe I'm wrong. However, if your problem is movement, which I see as, you were saying that you were feeling less inclined to be motivated. A key of motivation is movement, to be kinetic. Oh, what a good word. To be kinetic. Something that changed my perspective on these things. I noticed you do a pretty big thing on appealing to authority. Joe Rogan, golly, do I talk about him enough? How I found out about Jocko Willink was through Joe Rogan, and he had this, it was like this motivational sizzler called Good, and I'm going to put that motivational sizzler in the description. It'll be the only thing, so if you look down there, click on it. It's pretty motivating. This will make the Great White Stoke happy. Not that I think you watch this shit, but Jocko Willink's a jiu-jitsu guy. No, both these dudes are black belts. So, and fairly well accomplished, very knowledgeable people, amazing dudes. But So where was I going with all this? So you make your video, you're sitting on your duff, and you're stuffing your face with goldfish. Now, I'm looking at this and thinking, why do we eat the goldfish crackers? They're yummy, right? Well, the problem with goldfish crackers and mouth pleasure is it's the cheap dopamine. And when we go for the cheap dopamine, which whether that's as Backwoods was saying, a sugary drink or a salty snack, the cheap dopamine is an abuse of our mental reward system. My thought is, if you're having motivational issues, you need to recalibrate your dopamine reward system. And that actually harkens to what Corey managed to do with discontinuing his use of YouTube. I think you guys are in very different places as far as the whole change up regarding YouTube. I think when Corey looks at YouTube, and this is what I imagine, just based on his behavior and his reaction to it, when Corey looks at YouTube, he sees leftist censorship and all kinds of other guidelines, and just, he is not one that wants to be pushed into a corner. Corey, one of my best friends, I mean, he definitely needs to be the type of person that emanates his own creativity. He's not going to work around it. He's not going to rank and file, fit into some guideline and just toe the road. And it would be torturous and near fatal for him to do so. So it applies for him. Wouldn't necessarily work for others. It doesn't take much discouragement on this particular platform of expression to knock him out of the groove. So, yeah, the goldfish crackers, that's a mistake. So no more cheap dopamine. And Adam Carolla talked about it. Like, he was talking about a work crew. So say they did construction. So say there's a company truck and everybody uses it, but there's a coffee cup from, everybody stops at the gas station before you go to things, fuel up the truck, everything's cool, maybe get your little bag of chocolate donuts, what the hell ever. But let's say somewhere on the course of this, a styrofoam coffee cup is on the floor of the truck. Are we the type of person that leaves the styrofoam coffee cup there? Or are you the type of person that just reaches down, picks it up, doesn't matter whose it was, picks it up, throws it away, cleans the truck? Carolla said, the more you are the person who grabs up that coffee cup and throws it away, the more of a proactive type person you are. Now, you may say, Captain Edward, what do you know about it? Well, it's my job. My job is, one of my primary things is as a motivator. Two things I do. I talk people into doing things that they don't want to do, whether it's the people who I'm responsible for, or it's motivating them to accomplish something that I know they're capable of, but they may not, or they are not behaving like they are capable of it. That is to say, we have tasks at work. So time management wise, the way we book and charge and actually pay our technicians is by a flat rate hour. So if say an alternator on your car pays 1 hour, the technician is compensated 1 hour to perform that task. Now, let's say the customer needs their vehicle back by lunchtime because they can only get a certain amount of time off for lunch to pick their vehicle up. Let's say it's 11:15. Let's say their lunchtime means they can only be there at noon. My job is to do everything I can to make sure that that repair can be facilitated in 0.75 hours instead of 1 hour. Now, a competent mechanic is fully capable of that, or near capable of it. Expected productivity, like average nominal expected productivity, is 110%, based on published book time. So now 110% of 1 hour is like 0.9, but I hope you get my point. Am I guilty myself of this? Absolutely. Who motivates the motivator? That's the real question. And that may be the source and the root of this. There's nobody that can sufficiently motivate me. I do have a business owner who I have to answer to, and I am required to follow their directives. I do have the needs of my customers, the needs of my employees that motivate me. But here's the thing, and I don't know if I've described this sufficiently yet, but you talked about it needing to be positive. Well, that's not a positive environment. I have the negativity of broken vehicles and missed deadlines. There's nothing that provides me with positivity in it. Now, do I emanate the positivity? Sometimes I do. But that's not always. It's not just yes, push. You know, sometimes you have to be practical and call a spade. Like if the particular technician is not capable of getting that alternator done in 0.75 hours, that pays 1 hour. Let's say it takes this technician 1.25 hours. Another one of my roles is to contact the customer and say, well, this deadline is not practical. We need to adjust. I appreciate that you can only have lunchtime done, but here's the situation. Or if the part's not available. So in those cases, I don't get to just transmit positivity. The thing that I transmit instead of then is strength. You know, I'm not calling them back and be like, oh, I don't know, maybe we can. Well, no, the alternator's either there or it's not. Or my technician is either capable of performing the task or not. Now, these are lessons that I've learned the hard way. There are technicians that you can push to complete tasks in 110 and 120%, but if they're not 120% producers, something else ends up giving. There's mistakes are made because you're actually outrunning their skills and abilities. So they're cutting corners, not observing the things they need to observe. So anyway, yeah, I like what, if you're still with me here, I like what Bonnet Mom said about there are things that we need to explore in our past. And but if you're overly dwelling on your childhood, then that's not cool either. I was honored to learn about your history. I knew that your biological dad wasn't in the picture for some reason. I don't know if it was brought up many years ago, but I wasn't aware that either one, he was still alive, or two, that you met up with him again later. I wasn't aware that you had a stepfather. But I would say what we do with that information after sharing it, you know, does it allow you to bury the hatchet, allows your friends and new acquaintances to get to know you a little bit better, then great. Did it allow you and I to explore our relationship that we had that we were blessed enough to have with our grandparents? The honor of knowing such people and of actually seeing such an example. which, golly, if all I could think of was, like you said before, about stoicism. I mean, it's just effective stoicism, but yet they still somehow express love. If my grandpa was ever upset or worried, dude, I never knew it. But yet I felt the love, I felt the care, I felt the protection, right? It's intimidating to become that. When I learned of my father-in-law's having cancer 2 years ago, I was on the phone with him, and I was just crying my eyes out while talking to him on the phone. He's like, "Why are you crying, Ron?" I'm like, "I'm not ready. I'm not ready for you to be gone. I'm not ready to take on this role." He's like, "You're fine. It'll be okay." And, the time is coming when it is now our job to become the patriarchs. And it's an intimidating process, but it's going to require a lot of strength. And it's easy to have imposter syndrome about it, because I don't know about you, but I still feel like a 8-year-old boy deep down inside. I want to play with a Millennium Falcon toy, play with my remote control car, sing a little song, pick up a guitar, hook it to the amp, get a replacement for the, they actually call the grunge pedal like an actual grunge pedal now. It's not even called like Crunch Overdrive or whatever. What a shame. But I think that's what's up. And there's a gap. There's a gap in society, because we have that segment of the population where the grandparents raise the children. So there won't be that strength of a generational people. So, we've got some people that are in their late 20s, early 30s that they've never been exposed to the same things that we were lucky enough to experience. So I'm not going to say that in my case it's my duty to share those experiences, but in my case it's my duty to bring those experiences to bear in how I approach life. And that is how I honor the memory of my grandfather, that I don't get to have another minute with him yet. I will see him again. And hopefully when I do see him again and we have a conversation, we're able to just talk about things moving forward, and I don't have to dwell on him and ask him, "How'd you do this? How'd you do that? How'd you feel about this?" There was this thing that this was something to do with church. I don't remember if it was a Bible study or what, but preacher man was talking about heaven and how when people talk when they pass away, a lot of people say, "Oh wow, when I go to heaven, I'm going to talk to this person, I'm going to talk to that person." What they proposed was that when we go to heaven, it'll actually be the people in heaven asking us questions. "Oh wow, how did this turn out? How did that happen?" Like going all the way back to the prophets. So if you have faith in such things. So in honor of what they worked for and fought for, I say you bring the positivity of it. You take it as you get to work, you roll up your sleeves, you get it done. If you're still moving, good. And not look at it the way that Stoke was saying, where like, "Oh, my grandpa fought in WW2 and look, we just gave it all back to the Jews." I don't think that's the way to be effective. And I think that that brings an energy counter to what we need to have done. All right, everybody. Happy Friday.